Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Viraj and today we guys are going to discuss sqlite 3 in a Python. sqlite 3 is a built-in module in a Python which help us to communicate with the SQLite database. We can execute or we can run all the operations on the SQLite database using a sqlite 3 module like insertion, deletion, updation, creation of a tables and etc. While doing these operations, we can do these changes in memory as well as on our disk. So whenever we are performing any data storage related activity, either we can store in a memory, which is going to be in a RAM, but this data will not going to be persistent. Means as soon as we close the session, the data will get vanish from the RAM or memory. Whereas we can store the data into the file. So while defining a connection string, we need to specify : memory or a file name. If we are specify with the file name, we can store or redirect data into the file. So all the table creation, insertion, updation, deletion will occur on that particular file. So the entire workflow look like this. First we need to import sqlite 3. Then we need to make connection to the file. If the file is already exist, then it will use it. If it is not, then it will create it. So sqlite3.connect example DB. Here example DB is a database for us. Cur is nothing but the cursor object, which is an intermediator for our query and the connection string or database. On top of it, we can execute the queries like creation table and insertion. Lastly, we can commit it. Commit is going to apply all the changes or persist all the changes on the database. And close is closing the connection. Let's see the same thing practically. So let's talk about a sqlite 3. So guys, we are going to do the couple of operation. We are going to create a example.db file, or which is our database. Then we will create a table emp, which will have two columns, ID and name. Insert few records and lastly dump all records. So these are the few operations that we are going to perform with the SQLite. So let's get started. So first thing first, we need to import a model. Import sqlite 3, which is a Python built-in model. We don't need to install explicitly. After this, what we can do, we can create a connection string or connection object. Con equal to sqlite 3 connect example.db. As soon as we run this, one file will get created, which is going to be database file for us. So this database file, we can click it simply and we can see that the file is empty right now, because this database doesn't have any table or any structure right now. We can view this file more efficiently using a DB browser or a DB browser for SQLite. So we can simply go here and we can just right click on this particular file, open with DB browser. Right now there is no table or nothing is get created. So what we can do the next thing, that is a create a table. In order to create a table or execute any query on a database, what we need to do, we need to create a cursor object. So cur con dot cursor cur dot execute create table emp, id as an integer, name as a text, and we can run this. We can see that the cursor object is get created. As soon as we refresh here, as soon as we refresh this particular file, what we will see the some data. Let's see. Okay. So we can see that emp table is get created, ID and name. So if I am clicking on a browse data, there is nothing right now. There is nothing. The reason is right now there is no record inserted. So if I wanted to insert a record, so what we can do, cursor dot execute insert into emp values 1 comma Viraj. As soon as we run this command, one file will get created that is called as a example.db journal. So journal file is an intermediate data, or which is holding an intermediate data which will get applied later on the actual database file. So when this data is get applied to the database db file, so as soon as we do the commit, so con.commit. So even right now, if we just simply refresh it, we cannot see the data. The reason is really simple. We haven't done the commit yet. So con.commit. So it will have all the persistent thing. So we cannot see the file, journal file no longer available. We can go to the database and refresh it. We can see the record. Even there is another way of inserting the record. There is another way of inserting the record. Okay, we can simply do cursor dot execute insert into emp values. We can do something like question mark comma question mark. This helps us to add the data dynamically. So right now I'm adding a statically, but question mark will get replaced with the actual values. So we can say that Raj. Again the journal file will get created. Again what we need to do, con.commit, and we can refresh it. One more record. If I wanted to dump both the record, so what I can do, I can create a result variable, cursor dot execute select star from emp result dot fetch all. We can see this. Even there is another approach that you can take it. You can just cut copy paste this cursor dot execute select star from emp, and you can even write something like fetch all. You don't need to create a variable. But again, if I'm cut copy pasting result dot fetch all, then it will return an empty list. The reason is really simple. The data, whatever the query fetches the data that is in a session in a memory. So as soon as you execute it, it will vanish it from there. So again, what we need to do, if you wanted this data permanently, then what we need to do, we need to again rerun it and then fetch all. So this is how we can actually work with the SQLite module, guys. We can do all the operation like creation of multiple tables, update, alter the table, update the records, delete the record, and so on. So we can perform all the RDBMS operations, or we can perform all the SQLite operations on this table. But for this video, this is sufficient. We will discuss the more detail in a coming session when we are actually working on a banking application.